So should you be selling something you know, a life experience, a skill, a hobby, a passion? It's Dean Graziosi. Welcome back to the Own Your Future podcast, behind the scenes edition. If you didn't see this week's podcast with John Lee Dumas, I'm going to encourage you, go do it now. It's amazing. This podcast is really important because we had so many questions come in after John Lee Dumas said everybody should be selling what they know, and his evolution from the army, and thought he was going to go into being a lawyer, and finally realized, wow, I could serve others. I could interview a bunch of smart entrepreneurs. I could take what I learned from them and I could put it back out to the world. And now that's the life he lives. The questions were coming in nonstop. So I figured I'd share a little bit about that today. Should you be selling what you know? And who would buy it from you? Who would listen to you? If you're part of our family and you're already doing it, if you're already a coach or a course creator, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Nobody thinks or starts off after high school and says, I am going to be someone who shares what I know. We all don't think that, except maybe teachers, and they think they're teaching, or they are teaching what someone else taught them. The self-education industry is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. I bet you know that by now. It's heading towards $1 billion a day, heading towards $1 trillion a year industry by 2028. Why is it growing so fast? Because people are realizing they don't want to learn from their own experience. They don't want to learn from their own mistakes. They don't want to go back to college for 4 years. They just want to find somebody who's doing what they want to do and pay them to give them the roadmap, to give them the shortcut. Hence the course creator, the influencer, the self-education person, the knowledge industry, and why it's growing so fast. But one of the main questions, and I thought I'd go through a few of them here. One of the main questions I get is, what would I offer? And is it really valuable? Let's start with the second one first. Let me ask you this, and I've asked this question for probably almost a decade. If you could go back and spend a day with your 20-year-old self, let's say you had a week to prepare, and you could teach on relationships and to avoid the mistakes and don't jump and make sure your heart is centered and be in a relationship for the right reason. Or maybe you'd go back on career and say, hey, I know your parents wanted you to go to that school and you got the degree and you felt guilty and you were excited about getting the job, but you weren't excited about what you do. Oh my God, right? Maybe it's about health and taking care of yourself earlier. I just want to ask you, how valuable would it be if you had to put a number on it? How valuable would it be to go back and spend a day with your 20-year-old self? Well, I already know because I've been doing this for a decade, or asking that question for a decade. If I'm here in the studio, it's on the chat. It's only one of two things: millions or priceless. Because you know that value, because you go, oh my God, I never would have went through this in business. I never would have went through this in my career. I never would have went through this in my relationship if I just would have had some of this information. That's how valuable your life experience is to someone else right now. You're a chapter ahead, a book ahead, or a decade ahead. And Tony Robbins and myself feel that if you have life experience and knowledge in your head, for you not to share it is a tragedy. Don't go to the end of your days keeping that knowledge in your head when someone else could utilize it to go faster. Except most people don't realize it is a thriving business once you understand how. And when it comes to what to teach, well, John Lee Dumas said it best. You got to pick the one thing. You see, we sometimes feel we got to be everything to everyone. We have to narrow it down. If you want to teach people to be better at sales, fine tune exactly what niche within a niche about sales. Is it phone sales for high ticket products? You could just teach that and be amazing if that's your core competency. If it's about divorce, is it about the kids? Is it about the man? Is it about the woman? Is it about the chemistry? Is it about future relationships? You could pick the niche within the niche. If you're teaching people to fly fish, cut hair, paint with wolves. That was one of our people that was in our program. The painting was the relaxing part. The wolves would make you edgy, and she taught you how to meditate and paint in the middle. And it was a thriving business. There has been so many things we've had people teach about eczema because they went through it with a child in their life. My wife bought that course. Every experience you've been through that took you work, Sometimes it's your mess that becomes a message. It took you work to get to the other side is valuable to someone else. It's an asset that you don't have to pay for. You don't have to air condition it. You don't have to store it. You don't have to put it in a warehouse. But it's beyond valuable, and the impact it could leave is beyond priceless, beyond words in some cases. Appreciate you guys so much, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Wait till you see my next guest. It is pure fire.